WeatherScope.
This is the scene this morning in Tarrytown, New York, north of New York City, as a winter storm targets much of the east for messy weather. Getting a little light snow, temperature about 30 degrees. In the northeast, that means you're likely to see rain, sleet, freezing rain, or snow today. Good morning, I'm Marshall Cease. Welcome to WeatherScope. We've got special coverage of the storm, including a crew on location in Burlington, Vermont. With all the details, here's Rick Griffin in our forecast center.
Thanks a lot, Marshall. Well, again, one aspect of this northeast storm is the potential for heavy rain. In fact, if you were not with us a half an hour ago, there is a flood watch in effect for New York City for late today, tonight, and Saturday, because rain totals during this storm could be 2 to 3 inches, and by late today there could be significant ponding on the roadways and some urban flooding. So rush hour, while it's a little wet and icy this morning, could be very wet with some travel problems this afternoon as the rain gets heavier. Already overnight, 3 to 5 inches of snow in the central and south central mountains of Pennsylvania. And before this storm winds down, about 24 hours from now, there could be up to 1 foot of snow accumulations. That would be in upstate New York and northern New England. So we have a crew live on the scene ahead of the storm, waiting for the snow to start. Jim Cantori's in Burlington, Vermont. Jim, as you mentioned earlier, at least this time it looks like it's going to be mainly snow and not the ice storm that we had a couple of days ago.
Exactly, Rick, and I'll tell you, even going back 13 days when I was standing right here on this very spot in Burlington at Church in Maine, just great news regarding the snow here. And you can see it's coming down. It's about 6 degrees now. Another good aspect of this storm is temperatures have started to warm up pretty nicely. We got a little Arctic pixie dust, I like to call it, coming on down now. You can see the traffic moving along Route 2 this morning and just kind of brushing the snow aside. Obviously, with the temperatures right around 6 degrees, there's not much to worry about, at least with this sticking on the roads initially, but surely the roads will get slick as we go through the next couple of hours or so. So a real steady, light snow, temperatures on the rise above freezing. I mean, just 2 hours ago it was about 3 below, and now it's up to 6 degrees. So a nice rapid warm-up, if you will, from -3, but it's still obviously very, very cold. Believe it or not, Rick, there's still folks without power in northern Vermont. In Grand Island County, as a matter of fact, 2 days ago, they just got power back. And obviously, as you know, some of the worst has happened in Quebec and Ontario, where there's still almost 1 million people, without power, and they're still predicting about several weeks for those folks to go without power. But the good news is a lot of folks smiling here in Vermont this morning with the prospects of 6 to 12 inches of snow as opposed to 2 to 3 inches of ice. Back to you, Rick.
Good news for the ski resorts for the weekend, Jim.
Oh, yeah. And as a matter of fact, if we finish up early, you'll know where to find me.
Indeed. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Jim Cantori in Burlington, Vermont. All right, let's go right to the weather maps and look at the big picture and see what's going on. And basically, there's a ton of moisture along the eastern seaboard. You know, the low pressure center is not very strong. The central pressure about 29.80 inches of mercury, 1009 millibars. So the low itself is not very intense, but we have very strong high pressure over the northeast. We have a strong pressure gradient that's pulling the moisture into the northeast and the mid-Atlantic region, and just a tremendous amount of moisture surging up from the south. Now, of course, the moisture is beginning to interact at this point with the colder air from central Pennsylvania into the southern tier of New York State. And one thing that may enhance the precipitation is the fact that we have a fairly deep dome of cold air, 4,000 or 5,000 feet thick over the northeast, and that will tend to enhance the upward motion in the atmosphere and may increase the snowfall, say over the Hudson Valley and northern New England during the next 12 hours or so. You can see the cold air at Burlington. It's 16 below in Caribou, Maine, while in New York City the wind now is right off the ocean, and the shallow dome of cold air in New York City has eroded away quickly. So at JFK, for instance, the precipitation is all rain, with a mixture of rain and snow in the northwestern suburbs. Without a doubt, the heaviest snows will be over the interior sections, away from the coast, as that cold air and the low levels will be very stubborn to recede. So with all the moisture moving up, interacting with the cold air, that's right, we could have 1 foot snowfalls over parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and up towards the Carrabassett Valley of Maine. 6 to 10 inch snows are expected where you see the darker purple shading in here. At places like Binghamton and Scranton and Worcester and Hartford probably will see in the 2 to 6 inch snowfall range. So if you have travel plans, it's going to be slow and go on the Thruway and the Northway and the Mass Turnpike today, the Merritt Parkway for a time. And with the heavy rain expected here, the New Jersey Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway could be affected by poor visibility and some ponding of water on the roadways as the day unfolds. Once again, about in this area, precipitation's frozen. We have rain in Pittsburgh, rain in Philadelphia, a rain and snow mix in New York City. Farther south, heavy downpours, coastal Carolinas, and that includes Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, and Charleston. And you folks in Savannah, Georgia, get set for some heavy rains over the next hour or two. Another aspect of the storm, again, is the potential for heavy rain, not only in the coastal Carolinas and southeast Georgia, but here in Florida, because we have a very